difficult. Like, what do you really target, audience wise? We've always,
Ben, I can still see you.
we've always taken sort of the approach with Dealer Refresh. It's obviously we talk about practices and best practices and process and all that good stuff. But, I think most of it's really been around, of course, the merchandising piece of it, the marketing piece, and the technology behind it. And we've really never went too far outside of that realm. But it's, it becomes so nuanced sometimes. It's like, man, we could do more than cars. We could, you know, bring in maybe big thinkers from the podcast and such. I've often thought about going down that route, but I'm always afraid because at that point, once you've got too many branches out there, it's hard to really focus on one branch.
Yep. Totally. I mean, like having 6 podcasts or something.
Exactly.
Yeah, back in the early days of Auto Genius Tech, it was like, we could literally just connect to everything inside and outside of auto. Let's do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a lot of
things.
Intense.
Ben, I don't know if you recall when we were at dealer.com, we had some projects where we were going to be outside of the car business. And it was like, we were going to cater to every business in every language.
Wow.
That was, yeah. And we could never wrap our heads around just a simple object model that actually worked for that. So never got
that idea. Freaking, we kind of have done that a little bit. I mean, I don't think we want to get into that now. I don't know if anybody gets as excited about object models as it really. You'd want to talk to our CTO, Kevin. He would get really excited about it because it took him forever to create. But yeah, I do think there's like auto is this weird place where, it's adjacent to so many other giant verticals. I always think about it like it's essentially, at least in America, your ticket into the economy. Like you want to be a participant in our economy, you're going to have to work with auto in some shape or form.
Well, hey, 10
Whether
seconds.
You're at the consumer level, business level, enterprise
5
level,
seconds.
any level. Right?
Yeah, very true.
All right.
Wow.
We're actually getting the whole thing started before we even started.
Let's go.
Yeah. We're already in it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you invite me over and you say, "Hey, Ben, would you like to start talking?" It's like,
I don't think I've ever had to ask you that, actually. So,
no,
you don't even have to ask. I will just.
Sometimes you just show up.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like this wasn't planned at all. I just hacked into this thing and hopped in.
No, welcome.
That would be
although we run into each other on the slopes, we don't have those kind of conversations.
Have you been though? Like this has been brutal.
No, I have not.
For those that don't know, Vermont is like floats between 57 degrees and like miserable every single day. This is the first sunshine I've seen for months, and there's been no snow this entire winter. Like,
golly.
My plowing bill has never been so low.
This was supposed to be a really bad winter. That's what everyone was predicting. This was going to be the winter that we haven't had in so long. We didn't get shit.
Yeah, like maybe it's one of those surprise April's crazy. Like that would be pretty terrible. Because I'm kind
because I bought that. It's because I went out and spent a lot of money on a really kick-ass snowblower a couple years ago. I was like, I know if I buy this, it'll never snow again.
Oh, thank you.
Pretty much how true.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, you need to put that on Craigslist right now welcome. So I can go out and see that. Please.
I haven't got my money's worth out of using it, that's for sure. But at least it's fended off all the snow.
Oh, ever since on here. Yes. Everson's got, as I've gotten to know Ryan, he is probably one of the funniest dudes. Like, it's just
But
his
just
sense of
dry.
humor is
It's
so
too
Just
bad
dry,
he's so
dry.
dumb, though.
so dry.
He never has a
What's
good
that?
idea, and he's so dumb.
Oh, I mean, we all knew that, but like the humor thing shocked me. You know,
Didn't see it coming.
didn't see it
Good
coming.
dude.
Dude, thanks for having us again.
Nice.
I appreciate
Well,
it.
I mean, both of you have been on before. I don't think we've had both of you together.
I don't know.
Did we?
No.
I don't think so.
Maybe not. I feel like we did.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
all
and
good.
last it was an Auto Genius specific show. We were talking about you were launching or letting the world know that the new Coons website existed.
That's right.
Right. That was
How long
insane.
ago was that?
That was almost 2 years ago. It was 2 years.
Sounds about right.
Have we had that site up for 2 years? Golly.
Dude, I don't know what it is, but
It's like really
seems
close. I
like
think to
ever
the
since
anniversary.
COVID, it's time. It's probably just
Totally.
age, but God, shit's gone so fast.
So true.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. The last. Yeah, there's like basically 2018 is like last year to me. There's nothing like everything in
Yeah.
between, and like
Yeah.
I don't, whatever
I know.
happened.
That's
I
right.
agree.
But I think you're right. I think it's almost because I think next month is like
Yeah, we were
isn't that
like
the 2-year anniversary.
we were throttling up Coons in March of 22. So April
Yep.
was the first month that it was live. And it's really funny because like we didn't realize how much of a just like concept car that thing was. I think we all like we were surprised at the results.
Yeah.
For sure. But it was definitely it was the really funny one is that it's kind of been like a concept car for the industry. Cause like if you kind of look across a couple other website vendors and the home pages and the SRP cards, and then you talk to them about like
we inspired some folks.
who's working on speed internally, right? You start to like uncover this whole thing where there's an origin story for a lot of it, which is it's kind of cool, you know. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'd say we inspired some folks. We got
Is
some
that
dealers
a particular
on.
word you're using? Have a double meaning?
No, I think we saw a lot of people that liked what we were doing, and what is it like imitation, flattery, all that, But I think the shocker was it was only like 2 or 3 weeks in, and we were hitting like 800% increases in conversion. Like 30, 40, 50 days, 60 days in, it was 1,400% increase in conversion, which was like the thesis was if we increase speed, we'll increase conversion. The promise was we'll double it. That's what we were like. We told them. When it went up 14x, we were like, oh, holy shit. Like, but you also go like, wow, I can't even believe that was that bad of a problem. Like, if you look at Amazon,
That was the shocker.
Amazon says, hey, if we can figure out how to shave off 100 milliseconds, this is like a true quote from last year. If we can figure out 100 milliseconds, we know we'll make something like $5 billion more in revenue for those 100 milliseconds. Because in e-com world, essentially the number one reason for a shopping cart abandon is those milliseconds. But you go, it can't possibly be true in auto. Like it can't $19, toothpaste or whatever makes sense. And it mapped out exactly the same. So there was another study that we read. It's from 2017. It was basically a think with Google, and it was saying that for every 0.1 seconds that you eliminate from load speed, you get a 7% boost in conversion, just 7%. But if you did a second, that's 70%, so on and so forth. And actually, if you look at that math, Coons was loading in 26 seconds on mobile, on 4G, and we can kind of get into why all those things matter. That's where 70, 80% of their traffic was coming from. And we got that down to like 2.6 seconds in the same conditions. Wow. So 10x decrease, and basically over 10x increase in conversion. So there's just swapped. And I think what you see is like basically what's happened in the industry is either directly or indirectly, you give Mark Zuckerberg or Sundar Pichai a bunch of money. You're like, hey, man, Mark, I need more people to buy a car. And for some reason, we thought Mark and his bazillion dollar algorithms might be the problem. Right? Because like someone comes to the website, Zuck, right? You're like, Zuck, dude, send me someone that wants to buy a car. And he's like, yeah, sure. Give me $1. I'll send you a guy. That guy goes to the website. I think Mark starts sweating the moment that website stays a blank white screen for 5 seconds. I know Mark is freaking out when 12 seconds go by and there isn't even a button that has loaded. And I know Mark is like screwed when everybody's pressed the back button and said, never mind, I'll do it later. So you think about the amount of audiences that are probably going through that exact experience. It is definitely not Mark or Google that is broken at sending you great qualified traffic. It is the place that they are sending it to. And the problem has basically gotten worse and worse every year as mobile has become the more predominant place that, that we interact with websites with. So like in 2000, whatever. Remember like when the responsive and responsive and seamless debate was like the big thing?
Well, there was only one company with seamless.
Like 13,
everyone else was responsive, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, everybody was responsive.
I don't have to get into that. It's okay.
EDC, seamless, whatever. It didn't really matter. What mattered was like at that time, I think it was like 20% of your traffic was mobile, and it was just ticking up every day. It was like 21, 20. So here we are at 80%, but really mobile hasn't evolved at all. Right? Like the mobile design,
here's an interesting one, Ben.
Menus 8 inches above your thumb, like that's asinine, right? Like who has a thumb long enough to reach to a hamburger menu? Like so show me the guy who has a thumb long enough.
Check this one out. This was a fun one for us. So the consumer products that we do at my company, we're over 80% mobile. But the dealer stuff that the dealers are interacting with is almost 100% desktop.
Yep.
So the dealers aren't looking at their mobile world at all because they're at work. Yeah.
Yeah.
On a fiber, fiber one, like blazing fast, 17-inch flat screen monitor, right? It's like that's like that's a 21-inch flat screen monitor, OLED, whatever it is. And that's the way they're experiencing it. No wonder everybody likes shoot, I like, I just spent $18 million on this building, whatever. Like I should put a video of it on my website. Sure. That sounds fun. Loads fast on my thing. Yeah.
Except at Jeff's store.
He gone. Okay. So the other part of that because we're like, golly, did we just make it fast? And it was crushing every analytic that we thought it was going to. And so we started asking ourselves like, okay, what were the core things that made it happen that way? And I think it really, to get that level of a multiple on conversion, we figured there are like actually 4 things that we did really, really well. One was the actual speed. 2 was accessibility, like natively it is an accessible product for people that need accessibility built in for things like screen readers or color depth. Like that actually helps everybody, right? Because you can see it, you can read it. If you need to tab to the next thing, if you need to hit enter when the form fills, right? Those accessibility type things are important, right? The label the button actually means what the button does instead of just show. It's like show me more, right? Whatever those things are. And so that was number two. The other one was what we call data design. So how did we actually design the normalization of the data that gets input into the website, specifically when it comes to vehicles and trade information? And how are we leveraging APIs, data cleanup, data normalization to make sure that filters were fun and easy to use for the user? So data design was extremely important. And then the last one is actual design, like making it legitimately a fresh, beautiful, wonderful experience. Yeah. You know, it feels elevated, right? We literally, you can't, like, we force it. We actually had a client on some of our newer stuff the other day ask us to put a button on the search results page. We don't even have a container for it. It doesn't exist. You can't do it. If you want to do it, you're the wrong client, right?
Yeah, there's almost a rule that's like on the VDP. We also had someone else ask us, could we add more buttons to the VDP? You know, like this is the typical. Again, it's sort of the same logic. Like maybe I should just give Mark Zuckerberg and Sundar more money to send traffic to my website that's not converting. So the same like kind of irony is shit. Well, if one button worked, let's fucking try 9 buttons, you know? So like the VDP gets like vomited upon. So you have like request test drive, e-price, trade in, KBB, black book. Why not throw Edmunds in there? Cap 1? Sure, they're giving me a sweet deal. Digital retailing? Yeah, why not add another? It's like
share because that's not in the browser and nobody knows how to hit copy.
Yeah.
Print because
Share
there's no
Twitter.
print button anywhere in a browser or on a mobile phone, right? Like these.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And so part of I think what Kyle's also saying is like part of the UX like discipline was also when to say no. And we said saying no was really fucking hard because you want to say yes when you're inventing something new, right? And so
or when you're
being able
selling
to say, yeah, like F that, or when a client is like, I'll do it, but please add this button. You're like, oh, sorry, that's against our philosophy. Like, find another person. That is tough. But, you know, AutoGenius has always kind of been set up in a way that like the platform itself, like there's only a right now, maybe this grows, but there's only a select group of dealers out there that here's a litmus test. If you're a dealer group you're patting yourself on the back because you got a free group website, definitely not someone that would want to work with AutoGenius, right? If you're like looking at, if Apple.com, if like, Tim Cook started saying, you know what, I want to partner with Wix.com because they said they would throw in a website for $20 and just, Tim Cook is out there just making $20 websites for Apple.com. You'd be like, that's fucking crazy. You're not a Fortune 500 company. That'd be asinine. Meanwhile, we literally have other Fortune 500 companies. I'm not going to name their names, but like some pretty major billion-dollar dealer groups that are like, hey, good job. We save $1,500 a month by getting them to throw in the group site. You know what I mean? Like real. And then you have guys like, right, like you have like Lithia. I don't know how much driveway.com costs, but it was not $1,500 a month, right? It's like it's quite a lot of infrastructure. So I think that's litmus test number one. If you're like proud that you got a free group website, probably not a good client for us. Meanwhile, if you're one of those people that's like considering hiring a dev right now for your dealership, call us. You're definitely right on board. And I'd say that's the two different groups that we interact with. 99% of the time, we're saying, nope, probably not the right guy for us. It's very rare that we're finding the right people. But when we do, that's when we make some magic happen.
Interesting.
So the thing that
which one, which of those two do you run into most?
Well, if everybody stays around to the very end, we have a solution for, I call it the Jordan sneaker. It's going to make everybody jump a little higher. So we have that. We won't talk about that until the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I think the majority of people that know us or like kind of are understanding what we're doing, or have bubbled up through our community, which has been fucking amazing. Those people,
freaking the best people.
Oh,
can we just talk about the community?
So blessed.
They
what
are
communities are the fucking best.
Like, I can't even describe the way that, like, they're just a crew, right? They roll deep into MRC, so NADA. They roll so deep. Like, even just the things that have been discovered and like figured out, like how to, you know, Ryan Everson is in there. Like, you got to use make, connect everything, right? And then you got like freaking these unbelievable spreadsheets of like the way people are tracking stuff. You know, it's like it's a 24/7 20 group, but probably better than a 20 group because it's like no holds barred, you know. So,
easily better.
Yeah, that's definitely the best part about the online communities. Always rolling.
Yep. Always rolling. But yeah, okay, so go back to the tech real quick, because we're really dumb in this way. Like, most people are like, sweet, we freaking figured it out. Run that for everybody, you know, lower the costs, like raise some money, run it, right? And we were like, nah, you know, let's do Gen 2 for the next client.
Yeah.
So we did this mortgage
company. Our code and do a new code base for the next guy.
Did a whole new code base, did this like multi-language thing, and they went from like 1% conversion to 15.7% conversion overnight. And we were like, that's crazy. Let's redo it again. And so we redid it again. So we went to version 3, which we now have like, I don't know, 7 or 8 people on. And that's the first time that we got like ridiculously diligent about thumbs, like building for people that actually touch things with thumbs. And so if you go to WyattJohnson.com or BeaverDirect.com or TeamAutoGroup.com, you go and like, you can actually touch the button no matter what page you're on, which is really fabulous. Like, it gets frustrating actually. Once you go to one of those sites and then you go to another site, you start to get mad. You're like, why do I have to go up here to do everything? Yeah. But then it was really cool because we were like, this is going to be the thing. This is going to be awesome. And then one of our pieces of core tech that we used for some deliverability stuff said like, we're just going to sunset this. And
they went through so they got merged into another company, and we're like, all right. They originally were like, it's fine, nothing's going to change. And we're like, sick. Like a day later, they're like, our bad, we're totally fucking reworking this. So then our CTO, Kevin, basically disappeared essentially for like a week, and then emerged like a phoenix and was like, I have a whole new code base. And I literally was about to be like, dude, you can't have 4 code bases in under a year. That's crazy. It makes 0 sense. And then he showed me.
Or ever.
And I was like, oh my God, this is actually a entirely new way of thinking of the internet.
Literally.
Like, he hadn't just done something really fast. He actually had made basically a new way to create web experiences at what we think may be the fastest possible. Like, there isn't really a way to go faster than this.
Yeah.
And so that's what we wanted to show you.
We haven't
today.
done
That's
the
like
full research, so you can't put
way
like,
to get to.
Yeah.
to
you can't
check
put
out
like the
what we
stamp.
did.
Like, you can't do like, we're not going to go to Guinness Book of World Records yet, I mean, we may one day, like if we do enough research, but I think we actually
I've looked
have
it up,
built
dude.
the fastest
I've looked
website
up
in the
the
world.
fastest website in the world, and we are faster.
Yeah, so that's pretty crazy.
It's crazy because the other guy's basically a blank page with some text.
Yeah, so so here's the thesis. The simplest way to explain it is because right now we are on a streaming, basically Zoom call, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only way that these things happen is with a technology called WebSockets. Okay.
Yep.
Essentially.
Oh, wait, back up.
Yeah. Okay. Go. I'm back up. Yeah. You're right. Right. I get it.
Okay. So what did we learn over Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4? So Gen 1 was basically how do you make a website that's static and then dynamically loads from the edge? Okay. So basically that meant the website was precompiled, stuck on a cache somewhere rather than a server. And then that cache existed as the closest node to your browser. So it's the closest possible thing to Chrome or to whatever you're using to browse, right? So it's like, bam, it's there. The DNS is looking for it. Oh wait, it's in its pocket. It's in its cache. You got it. You already got a copy of that site. Bam. No servers. That was the first lesson. Lesson number 2, Gen 2, Gen 3 was sort of like how do you balance load some of the work that's happening into different worker threads? So essentially almost like going from like remember like when you used to have one processor, like the Pentium, and then you went to duos and then quads, right? Worker threads are basically the same thing. You're basically saying like let's divvy up the work of the processing of a website into multiple different threads and run those in parallel. And then that way you get a little faster and you do a little bit more cool stuff, all from the edge, all from the closest node. Then it was like, wait a second, what if you started balance loading the protocols themselves? So how a website typically loads right now is it fetches information from a server, right? Now, like imagine if this call was fetching with a server in between it. It would stutter. It would be like so fucking hard to like watch because it would be like me saying a thing that would go to the server, then it would bounce back to you, then back to me. It would just be this long ass process. Things like sockets, and there's other sort of protocols involved here. So things like sockets are real-time tunnels that basically create a blur between what's client and what's host. So, you wouldn't think of Zoom powering or Zoom like real-time Zoom or this video feed, this stream or chat as powering powering a website. But a kind of way to think about this is rather than fetching HTTP from a server, we are instead chatting in elements of a website, just like you would chat in like a Carnow or Goobagoo, or just like we would like
Slack,
stream in right
Microsoft
now, or
Teams,
Slack.
all that. Yeah.
So now there's sort of no more definition between those two. They actually become one. You remove at least one hop, which means you're automatically 50% faster. And this has essentially made this tech about 50 times faster than what Coons.com was.
So can you share the screen real quick? This is a good visualization of it. So like this is a pretty fast dealership website experience loaded on like a 5G connection basically. So like you see some stuff at about 2 seconds ish after like the server responds and you go through some of those fetches and then you get the full thing loaded in just under 14 seconds, right? Then you have what Coons was, which was like blazing fast. We were like, holy crap, nobody's ever going to do this. Then you have our Gen 3 stuff where we like removed more of the things that we had to do with like servers and put it more in the edge, and utilize like the full effect of like image processing and all of that on the edge. So now what you get is you get this, which you can notice the difference in the waterfall and the timing. And it doesn't seem like craziness, but if you look at the even from Gen 3 to Gen 4, it's actually around 50 times faster now. Because essentially what, and we can maybe, I'll stop sharing and maybe Ben can at some point show off what we've done. Is the website is actually like, if you were to just look at the code that's actually on the site, like typically you would see all this JavaScript and you would see all this like interactivity and like things that it needs to go fetch and all these scripts and all this type of stuff. But like the raw code of the site is basically like a couple lines of like really, really simple, like almost what we call stupid HTML, right? Like it's like, the reason why we call it stupid is because it can't actually do anything. And a script that just says like, open up the connection to the, like, open up the call. And then it doesn't actually like, it's just like this continual message happening back and forth. So you get a site that then loads in really less than 100 milliseconds, like initial load time. Wow. So it's kind of ridiculous the way it's working.
And this is like,
you can feel it too.
We're
you
patenting
can feel
it. We're patenting this.
Yeah,
so this is
I'm on the Beaver Direct, and it's blistering fast.
Yeah, Beaver Direct is 50 times slower than what we're about to show you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's possible.
How fucking crazy is that? No. We literally had to start looking up like how fast is a blink of an eye, which is it's 100 milliseconds. So it almost gets kind of silly to go faster, you know? Like I don't know if like
at some point like
it doesn't matter.
Do we have to be quicker than that? Yeah. So yeah, if you guys do want to check out the latest stuff, you can go to lazydays.com. And if sounds like people are messing around as we're talking, so that would be the place I would go, is lazydays.com. And if you want to get really geeky, inspect it and then go to your network tab.
That's it.
Give you Bob.
As soon as the result popped up in search, I clicked the link and that was it. It was there. There was no.
Yeah, it's just there for you
on mobile.
Yep,
it's sort
of. I'm
ridiculous.
on Wi-Fi though, but
dude, go on our crappy Vermont 4G. That's spotty as hell. Verizon, if you're listening, come on. This has been ridiculous. Dude, it's still just as fast. That's what's crazy about it. Is once that socket is
off
open.
this site though, Ben. When you sent it to me originally, I started looking at Airstreams.
I know. I'm sitting here scrolling. I like that camper.
Yeah, but what's crazy now too is like, so what Ben was about to tell you is like, if you go to the network tab and then go to the JS or the fetch and you just click on fetch or JS, you would only find one thing. And it would be exo.autogenius.io, which is basically what opens up the
socket.
Hi, where are you? Right. Well, now what's more ridiculous is like, we're loading a tag manager, a GA4 data layer in that tag manager, Hotjar in that tag manager, all of that, and still not impacting speed.
Wow.
Yeah. So for reference,
which is
like
nuts.
Normally, so Google has this weird thing called Google Core Web Vitals. It's become probably one of the most important things that has kind of hit websites as like a criteria to, it helps with anything from rankings to like actually really your consumer experience. And what it basically is a measurement of like how fast does the first thing load? How fast does the biggest thing load? How fast is the next thing that I'm about to click load? It's a bunch of different like user experience metrics. So, all of our websites have been passing Google Core Web Vitals, which is a rarity in auto. Like that's like really tough. Most like websites score like a 26 out of 100. all of ours are probably around at least an 80 out of 100 on mobile, which is the hardest one to pass. Definitely like 99s or 100 out of 100 for desktop. So there's bar one, but bar two is like, as you're looking through like why this stuff becomes super important, is go to like, for those that are listening, if you've done the geeky thing and looked at the network tab and you've seen how fast Lazy Days loads, go to like a cars.com or an Auto Trader or a Car Gurus and do the same exact thing. Go to the network tab and you'll see an enormous amount of requests, hundreds of them. And you'll see that that page is like insanely bloated. And you'll see that that there's all this JavaScript that loads, and then that JavaScript's got to talk to servers too. So it loads other shit. What we're doing here with the socket is essentially opening up a portal to another dimension and then calling the Avengers in through that dimension as we need them. So it's like almost like what Toyota did with just-in-time manufacturing. We're doing it with sort of just-in-time streaming of the whole website. That's what we're saying. Like, this is a streamed website as opposed to a loaded website. But that also means that your data is actually way more protected. It also means that things like Google Tag Manager, that ironically slows websites down traditionally by a lot, even though Google's the one that wants you to be fast. Google Tag Manager, I know this is such a Google fucking thing to do. You know, sorry, we're going to impose that everybody be quick. Oh, but also everybody that uses Google Tag Manager, it's a piece of crap that's going to slow everything down. You know, whatever. That normally would impact a website's core web vital score. With us, it's not. That's what's so impactful here is that the way if you do it this way, you can actually start bringing in that crappy bloat that normally slows down your website. You can bring it back in. You just bring it in properly.
Yeah. Well, most of it.
Yeah.
There's still some really dumb stuff out there that loads like 11 megabytes of bull crap, and you don't want that on your site. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That still exists. Yeah. True.
Yeah, and like everything is built. Yeah, there's like so much more tech to go along with that. But yeah, if you like click on filters, you know, the latency is like 25 milliseconds right now at the longest. Like we've seen at some points we get like 10 to 12 millisecond search results on like clicking filters. So it's just there, right? It's not like clicks filter, hits add, waits 3 seconds, loads some cars, right? And that happens at every instance. Actually, the thing that slows us down the most is like if we need an API to change payments and the API is, takes 80 milliseconds for us to hit. And then it's like, dadgummit, 1/10 of a second to get the data, so that's, but otherwise we can do it. So Jim asked
yeah, Jim, like this tech works. So again, like this is actually, I think, the first time I've ever seen, besides I'd argue the DMS, Auto invented technology that is at the forefront, like, of all other verticals. Maybe the engine too. I guess I throw the engine as like a win for us, but typically it's sort of like someone comes out with Salesforce and then we come out with whoever. Someone, I'm not going to name names, but you know what I mean? Someone comes out with like I don't know, it's hard to do this and not just rip on
the electric motor.
Say that again.
For people who like to go fast, the electric motor.
Yeah. I just think most of the time Auto
not to get
is left with like the bastardized, like redheaded stepchildren of software. You know what I mean? It's like rare that like I've actually heard talks of guys like thinking like maybe they should make a clone of Slack for Auto. And it's like, nah, dude, you should just use Slack. Like,
yeah, right.
It works great. You know what I mean? Like, or you see guys that are like I know someone probably, this isn't how the story actually happened for most of our CRMs, but I'm sure people got exposed to Salesforce's CRM, and then someone could have just worked on implementing that into the dealership. And instead, we invented a bunch of other crappy CRMs. No offense to them. I'm not even gonna name names, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's always like we get this like off the weird shelf stuff. It's like always like the weird Wish version of the product. It's never like the real thing. Does that make sense?
Like for instance, we've had, from a like multi-vertical, like we are already in talks with like companies that you would know the name of like off the top of your head, saying like, wait, you have what tech stack under, like you're using, that's the stack that this is built on. Like you didn't build a custom thing or, because there are companies outside of auto already looking at like the tech stack that's now been tuned to work together, plus our loader, right? Like our loader, our rendering system is patent pending, right? Because it's not been done before. There's John. He's over at Lazy Days. That's awesome. They're crushing today. There's like a ton of traffic going to the website over the last 2 days. We always progressively turn on stuff because like we always want to A/B test. We always want to test bugs. Like we never do a flip switch type project. So that's it's been fun to do that too, because like that's the way you typically do it outside of auto. Like if you're gonna change a major portion, if you're gonna change your showroom, right? Like it's a project and it's a build project, and then you have a and then you soft launch it, and then you do the grand opening 2 months later. But in auto, we're like, $1,500 and just flip the switch, hope it works, So it's very interesting.
We didn't even check our About Us page.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes it's for a totally different dealership.
Yeah.
So
it happens.
Maybe we can put some explain it like I'm five kind of language around what speed means to, say, lead conversion or getting people to spend more time on the site and look at more cars and eventually walk into our dealership.
Yeah. I put it like this. This is my ELI 5. I'm like a general manager, general sales manager, checking this out, thinking, what the fuck are these guys on? I would say, if I called your dealership tomorrow and I said to one of your sales agents, just trying to get a hold of a sales agent, and that sales agent picks up, hello, and I go, hey, do you have a Toyota Tacoma in stock? And that sales agent went like this.
Sounds productive already.
Yeah, we do. We have a Tacoma in stock. Would you have fucking stayed on the phone? Probably not. You would have hung up, right?
Good analogy.
So that is the problem. That is literally the ELI 5 problem. That is 99% of the websites right now. That 80. Well, sorry, I should say 80% of the traffic on mobile is having that experience right now on 99%.
Yeah, and like most people on a laptop in their house, aren't experiencing that. But like
speaking of Toyota, have you tried scheduling service on a mobile device? Ooh.
Oh,
most of the Toyota sites are pretty rough.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
brutal.
So the other piece of this is, you also, if you look at, and I don't know, you might be able to tell us this, like on your platform, Alex, is like, what's the volume per shopper, even like total of desktop versus mobile leads in the auto industry? Oh. Well, with Coons, it was like 30% of their traffic was desktop, 60% of their leads were mobile. Now Coons is still 70% mobile, but 80% of their leads are coming from mobile now too. right? Because the shopper engagement, right?
Well,
So
we have you're asking me, and we have an unfair thing because our product typically works mobile first. So
right, that's
we're
true.
sending a
If someone
text.
enters it, it's more
Yeah.
naturally, yeah. That's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair.
So obviously
Yeah,
ours
but
is very
so
high.
like for instance, you know, right now with a very like short run on, you know, shopper conversion, um, you know, I mean, it's like we've never been under like 3x the conversion rate of another shopping site. So it varies depending on like how much traffic they send, what type of targeted traffic, but
How bad
that's
it
what it
was,
actually
you know.
impacts, how bad it was,
Yeah.
you know,
Hmm.
that type of thing. So
So
yeah, which
have you guys
is
thought about doing like doing a Wix almost and being that kind of player?
there's a
Okay,
okay.
so
Yeah.
I don't think. Well, I guess it's a segue into like what we did just create, um, which is the Jordan sneaker, right? So there's like we have this kind of full rendering system. The other thing about Lazy Days that's interesting is that anything that's visualized practically has an API to it. So what's really happening is you're getting a rendering of about 84 elements that all have APIs to it. They're all these little microservices. Um, in a world of like wanting to do personalization, for example, as you start thinking about the future, you really, if you're going to take 26 seconds to say like, hello, Alex, instead of just like showing the fucking car, it's not worth burning those 26 seconds. You know what I mean? Um, so, you know, as things like CDPs become more popular and they need something to connect to, they need something to like turn this data into an activation of some sort. We actually think that this is like a pretty key place where your website should almost behave more like a programmatic display ad in terms of its understanding of who it's displayed towards, and should be really smart and feeling like, oh, this is the inventory they want. This is the color scheme. This is the design. This is like how this individual wants to experience this website. That's now possible with these 84 different APIs that are rendering this sort of website and streaming it in front of you. But one of the cool things about this is there's like this thing called the exo tag, and that tag is actually able to speed up just an existing website. So what we've made is so fast. I said fuck enough. So I say it's so fucking fast that you can actually place it on like a dealer.com as an example website. And we can actually start streaming in more efficiently all that bloated stuff just in time. Again, we're just opening up the portal, bringing the Avengers in as we need, right? We shove it into another dimension, we bring them back in as we need, and speed up like a regular old DDC site, regular old dealer on site, regular old dealer inspire site. So just by adding that tag, we can actually increase those websites pretty significantly. And what we're seeing right now, like, was way better than we were hoping, but basically about a 60% increase in
Kevin
conversion.
literally fought Ben and I for like 3 weeks. He was like, "We're gonna have to change the experience. You got to change the size of the
Can't
button.
just do speed.
You're gonna,
Can't just do
you
speed.
can't just do
Yeah.
speed. There's no way. Like it's not gonna convert better. Nobody's gonna stay longer. Like you can't just do that. You have to like make the actual experience better." And we're like, we want to know what the baseline like with only a few optimizations. Like, what does it do? I was like, yo, if we can prove over X amount of time, X amount of users that it's like 5%, 10% better, then at least we know what the baseline for like the first adjustment on speed is, right? And so we're finally like in through our first testing period with a cohort of users. And like the data is kind of insane. On desktop, people are visiting around 2x the number of pages. On mobile, they're visiting about 30% more. And that's just because the experience is rough, right? Still, because we're not changing the experience. Like, we're not impacting the way that it looks, feels at all. The more ridiculous thing is that on desktop, conversions are up 76%, on mobile 21%, for a combined conversion rate increase of 45%. With 3 out of 26 optimizations turned on for speed only.
Wow.
Which is kind of bonkers. Like, you think about all of the dollars that we spend on digital advertising, that we spend on SEO in our industry. And like, if just the industry was like, everybody just got less mad. And
look, it's a little WD-40 for the mousetrap, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's all this is. But it, you know what I mean? It's an instant 45% increase in your conversion rate. Just add the tag. That's it.
Wow.
So that to us is like, that's the Jordan sneaker. That's what, every time someone came to us and said like, hey, I would love to do a project with you guys. And then we're like, okay, cool. This is how hard it is. It's going to take 6 months, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, that's crazy. That's way too intense for me. I'm going to go back to my free group website. Like, all right, that's cool. This is the, they still have the itch, right? So this is the balm for them.
And it's actually, what's crazy is it's actually the same exact thing. That, yeah. It's like, I know it's hard to describe that, where it's like, but you just put a script on the site, and it's like, yes, that's actually what that's actually what Lazy Days is. It's just a script in like some really stupid HTML. So we're kind of like doing the same thing, but with other sites. So you can imagine like the downstream effect of like all of, like, we've got, I think 23 more optimizations on just speed, not changing the UI, right? Or doing A/B testing, or injecting a flow, or, you know, any number of things. So,
well, let me know if y'all ever want some cached payments.
Cash payments?
Cached. CACHED.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
CACH. Yeah. I love CACH payment.
Yes.
I'd be into some CACHED payments.
No, that's good.
Yeah. We can talk about that.
Yeah. It's you after this. That. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, because everybody's doing payments in real-time APIs, and that's tough.
Yeah. It takes a little time.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah, so that is so we released this a couple months ago actually. In 3 days, I think we had over 300 rooftops sign up for it. So we were hoping we could get like 50 in a couple months. 3 days was fucking crazy. We went nuts. So we stopped signing up people. But we're feeling a lot better. Like, we've caught up a lot on the progress, so that we're basically activated a good cohort of a very specific website company. And so now I think we're getting closer to wanting to like start a waiting list again. If anybody's listening to this and wants to add SpeedLayer to their existing website, ideally you are on, and this is no offense to like anybody I don't mention, but ideally you're on dealer.com, Dealer Inspire, or Dealer On. That's ideal. We do have a long tail of like other providers that we will get to. It's just, we have to like sort of like scope this based on market size. So yeah, send me a DM, email, send Kyle, get a hold of us, ben@autogenius.io. And we're going to get you 2 months to try it. Once we get to you in line, we'll let you activate it for 2 months for free. And our hope is you're going to get addicted to that conversion rate. And then after those 60 days, we're going to charge it to you as a technical SEO package, which 80% of the time should be 100% co-op. And, you know, we can go over pricing, et cetera, offline, but it's a pretty no-brainer, no-risk deal.
Well, and packaging it as an SEO, like you said, a lot of times that's co-op, so no brainer.
There
No
you go.
brainer. LFG.
Yeah, I love Anthony. And then you pay for the Jordans. That's right. Get you some sick Nikes, bruh.
Well, hey,
Get some Nikes, bro.
Ben, you promised the last 5 minutes.
That was it. Well, we spent like 10
Okay.
minutes on
That
it.
was pretty much it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure if you had something else
Out of
up your
10.
sleeve there. I was just
No,
looking at the time.
just giving away free conversions. Sorry, that's all I got for you guys.
Nothing else up your sleeve. Damn.
That's great.
Well, I will have to say the I've been on the lazy days. I was on the what was it, Beaver Direct, and I don't know if it's just because of the product that I'm looking at, because I love looking at RVs, but the sites are addictive because everything is just so streamlined, so quick, so clean. I'm like, this it's almost too easy.
All right. We always say
dangerous.
internally. Yeah, we always say internally, we're like, if we who are building it get to the point where we can say out loud, like, oh, feels so good, we've probably nailed it.
Yeah.
Like we need it. Like we want the web to elicit a feeling, which is kind of a nuts idea. I get it. But that's kind of how we
Well, you guys have done. I mean, we've seen so many different variations to some degree, but nothing really different in the past 15 plus years. When it comes, when it comes down to UI design, et cetera, on dealership websites, you can pretty much
Everybody
go to any
had an
dealership
iPhone.
website. You pretty much know how you're going to maneuver. Now, once you get into the mobile landscapes, it's, it gets a little different, but it's different enough to say it's actually different.
Thank you.
appreciate it, man.
Awesome
I appreciate you noticing.
Yeah. You're making me think a lot deeper about speed now. I always understood
it's
the
definitely something that
importance,
gets
but I
overlooked.
never really equated speed with the experience like Jeff was just laying out there.
Well, I think too, over the years,
like
everyone's access, everyone's bandwidth has sped up so much that, I've caught myself several times saying, well, how important is that really? Do I want to give up, do I want my site to be, a couple seconds faster, or do I want this page to load 1 second faster? Or am I okay at not loading as fast, but having the 15 call to actions on there? I've never done that personally, but I've had conversations like that. And, I could see the dealer saying, no, wow, what's 1 second? We've got fast bandwidth, no big deal. Let's load this VDP up with a bunch of crap. Let's increase our conversion. That's what they think. And take it from there.
Or like, just honestly, a lot of people, they'll come to us and be like, do you have like this fully built out freaking epic panel where I can build specials and, stick GUI and all this type of stuff? And we're like, no, okay, dude, so
figure out a way to automate this shit.
One, you're never going to log into that. Two, like the reality is that we just realized, that if we can do a few things really freaking well, right?
Yeah.
The stuff that you're never going to log into, we'll get to that.
So, it is pretty funny, like how much, because I've obviously worked at a bunch of these companies, these software companies, and like the amount of work that goes into redesigning a UI that everybody agrees no one is going to log in to use, except maybe the internal members, is hilarious. Like everybody kind of understands at some point that like their own account management team is using the product more than the dealership's team. Mm-hmm. And so that's actually a weird thing, is like design and everything starts getting like the flaps get the blinders get on so deep because you're actually the one going in the product and using it. Right. Mm-hmm. Versus getting feedback from, dude, this has been so awesome. Thanks for letting me vent.
This is fun.
Well, I'll throw one last thing at you guys. I've been don't know if you had access to the global data at dealer.com when we were there. This might have changed, but it was coming from being a car dealer to then working at a tech company and seeing this stuff and how much time I spent on effing specials every damn month, especially for a dealer group trying to chase stuff down, to find out that less than 5% of customers actually go to that page that broke me.
Broke you.
Had you need a
It was
vacation.
sad. That was a sad realization.
There's a lot of rewriting. I mean, not for nothing. All that we've talked about has actually totally blown my own mind on SEO. Think about SEO as a game. It has been all about content, to the point where the content that people are writing today is so obscure just because it's blue ocean. Like, just because they know they can derive clicks. It's like, I'm going to write a blog post about like DIY wheel nut covers. It's like, cool. Like, you're number one on something that's never going to convert. Meanwhile, it's not only going to get some traffic. If it takes 26 seconds to load, it's for sure not going to convert.
And who else are you battling to get to that position, to get to that click? I dropped content SEO, having a direct focus on content SEO a long time ago.
Well, what's so interesting now is watching Coons. We didn't migrate, and they had like 16 years or something of content, right? 16 years. We didn't migrate any of it.
Yeah.
So as you start like kind of taking the red pill on this stuff, you're basically going, wait a second, if I had to choose, do I want 6,000 vehicles indexed by Google, or do I want 6 blog posts? Because they're costing about roughly the same in the market today. Right? Like, you go with our tech, it's 6 that like all your vehicles are starting to index. Otherwise, it's like a content game where you're like, here, wheel nut covers, whatever. And there's just like, now I'm not saying that content isn't worth it. Like, I think there is a huge spot for content and for SEO content. I still do. I think unique, great, valuable content still makes sense as a strategy. But again, I would still ask you, if it doesn't load in under 3 seconds, then nobody's going to read it anyways. So out of all of the order of operations of things, it's crazy to me. It's taken us this many years since the iPhone has come out to correct what was under our noses the entire time, which is speed, right? Like, that's actually kind of nuts. Like, it shouldn't still be even an opportunity. I shouldn't exist. Like, this whole product line should not even be a thing.
I hear you.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yep.
A lot of people got rich that way, though. Building things that shouldn't have existed.
Yep.
Yeah. Or building everything that, yeah. I guess. Anyways.
Thank
you, guys.
I start to get angry now. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm getting fired up.
Well, guys, thank you.
Yeah, this is great. Appreciate it.
Definitely got me thinking about a few things.
Good.
Appreciate you both. Thank you
for having us
on here.
All right.
You got it.
Everyone have a great weekend.
Say something genius.
Take care, guys.
Say something genius. Later, guys.